So it's Wednesday, isn't it, folks? Time for some dumb memes from the left. All right, so I was a little bit worried for this week because I wasn't having a whole lot of really great memes coming across my desk until Sunday night when I stumbled across Cake's Facebook page. And by cake, no, I don't mean a delicious pastry. I mean the obscure band from the late 90s you forgot about in the early 2000s who was famous for having a lead singer who didn't sing.
Digger puts on the forceps.
Cake's Facebook page was just a treasure trove of A-plus dumb memes from the left. And honestly, once I got onto that page, I felt like I was entering some sort of video game cheat code to a paradise of terrible memes. And here's just a few of them that I had to throw on the reject pile. No one is safe at home if someone in the house has an essential job. Horizontal BJ face. Pound repost. Right, so to look at this meme through the lens of its actual context, what it's suggesting is that everybody stay home, including our farmers, factory workers, delivery drivers, road workmen, and even the medical staff. Which is dumb because, get this, you and I need to eat, and not everyone has an army of children to go work their thousands of acres of fields and an infinite supply of capital in which to purchase this technology that isn't going to be produced in the factory anymore. Yes, people, death by starvation is just as bad as death by COVID. Morons. This one was so bad that even Cake's army of communist sycophants wouldn't stand for it. This is a vast oversimplification and assumption. I have an essential job because we can't leave a big-ass 84-acre science museum completely empty. For both security and maintenance reasons, somebody has to be there to make sure people stay away and to run the exhibits every once in a while so they don't start to break down. Besides the animal department, which has their own essential staffer to feed and care for the animals, there is no one else working with me, and I don't ever even see the animal department staffer, nor do we use the same buildings. Even with this isolation, we are still required to wear gloves and masks and wipe down every surface we come near with a viral side cleaner. I feel safer here than I do in my own home. How will we vote by mail if Trump and the GOP destroy the U.S. Postal Service? The flu kills more people every year. Lol. Well, it does. I'm not sure what that background has to do with anything. And also, yes, I agree. Trump is totally inept. Here we have a timeline of events where Seth Weisman tells us to repeat after me. Culpability. So what, like holding someone's feet to the fire when they start spreading bullshit? Well, that was fun. See you next week in an all-new episode of Dunking on Cake. Just kidding, folks. We're a little bit more creative than that. And honestly, it would be kind of cheating to insert the Game Shark and just dunk on Cake every week because it'd be just too easy. But we did get one more meme come across our desk that just took the cake. And here it is, folks. Coming up from the left is this week's doozy of a dumb meme from the left. Trump is so clearly a fraud and a con man that to suggest otherwise is in fact delusional and an offense to any rational person. It is hard to take seriously a politician, friend, or family member who defends this criminal. So there's so much dumb to get out of this meme that there's just no way we're going to get to all of it. So I'm going to at least try to just breeze over the ad hominem, the implied calls to action, and the dumb resolution of incivility with even more incivility. And I'll start by conceding a point. If your intention by calling him a fraud, a con man, and a criminal is to suggest that he's manipulated his image to portray himself in the brightest light possible, well, welcome to politics. Looks like it's your first day. Let me take you on a tour. Now let's talk about the irrational person Kafka trap. That to suggest otherwise is in fact delusional and offensive to any rational person. So you're wrong. And if you deny being wrong, that makes you an idiot. Therefore, you're still wrong. So I said we'd breeze by the ad hominem, but how does somebody escape being wrong? The answer is it's impossible. And we don't even have to actually provide any evidence to suggest why it is you're wrong. Kafka trap, a sophistical rhetorical device in which any denial by the accused serves as evidence of guilt. See also gaslight. It is hard to take seriously a politician, friend, or family member who defends this criminal. Yeah, so separate yourself from your closest friends and family members over a childish political disagreement to form an echo chamber which ostracizes any sort of political dissent. Your complaint in this meme is over incivility, and your prescription for that incivility is more incivility. That's kind of like saying, hey, we have this serious problem with racism, so what we're going to do to resolve this racism is more racism. Ah, that tolerant left. I lost a lot of friends because of this man and their blind following. How do you even agree with all his lies when the facts are always right in your face? How does the country wake up from the delusion? Time for me to join the conversation. Let me guess, you lost those friends because you alienated yourself from them, not the other way around. Example, you unfriended them on Facebook, not the other way around. No, more like I told them to their face I want nothing to do with someone who votes for a fascist pig. I don't interact with closed-minded people. Ah, so you agree with me, and thank you for proving my point. You called them names to their faces and then explicitly refused to interact with them when you've also implied that they were willing to engage with you, and they're closed-minded. Right, so the real issue we have here with this meme is the complete rejection and utter contempt for the scientific method on display. You prove the positive claim and you assume the negative claim is the null hypothesis. The way this works is that if you have somebody that says something is something, then their job, the burden of proof is on them to prove the thing. Trump is a fraud, a con man, and a criminal. The burden of proof is on you to prove the positive claim that you just made. Otherwise, we are obliged by the scientific method to assume the null hypothesis, which is in this case the negative claim, which is that Trump is not a fraud, a con man, or a criminal. And that's especially true with that term criminal because you notice that he's walking as a free man. He has no criminal convictions, but he's a criminal. Now, this is a little bit different from calling somebody a murderer when there's clear evidence that they murdered somebody because we have a colloquial term for murderer that doesn't depend on an actual outcome from the law. You have specific evidence of a specific crime, so it is okay to accuse somebody of that specific crime. But if you're going to accuse them of simply being a criminal, then we need either a specific crime and evidence to support that claim, or we need an actual criminal conviction. Otherwise, it's tough for me to label somebody a criminal when we have no other information beyond that. So if we're not even going to specify the crime he's guilty of, I'd love to see a criminal conviction or a criminal record of any kind. Right, so getting back to the main issue here, when somebody doesn't see the evidence of the positive claim, it is obviously your obligation as the maker of the positive claim to provide that evidence. Otherwise, again, you have to assume the null hypothesis. And this is perfectly exemplified in the Russell's teapot thought experiment, which is that imagine there's a teapot, a tiny little teapot, this big around, floating in space somewhere between Earth and Mars. How do you prove that that teapot is actually there? Well, you take out a telescope and you say, boom, there it is. Positive claim proved. How do you prove that the teapot is not there? And if there's no evidence that the teapot's actually there, what am I supposed to do? Scour the infinite donut of space between Earth and Mars as the two planets orbit around the sun ad infinitum and all at the same time? And if I still don't find it, what are you going to say? Oh, it's smaller than you can find. You need a stronger telescope. Oh, it's even smaller than that. You need an even stronger telescope than that. Oh, and you need an infinite supply of telescopes because it just moved. So you need to have telescopes that can somehow observe that infinite amount of space all the time. Oh, well, it's not there right now, but it'll be back in just a minute, so we need to scour that infinite amount of space from now till the end of time. The dragon in my garage thought experiment takes that one step further. Imagine I tell you there's a dragon in my garage. Well, what's your response going to be? Oh, well, show me the dragon. Oh, well, you can't see the dragon because it's invisible. Okay, well, maybe we'll sprinkle some flour on the floor so we can see its footsteps. Oh, it hovers so you won't see its footsteps. Okay, so maybe we get an infrared camera so we can see the heat emanating from the dragon's fiery breath. Oh, well, the dragon's fiery breath is a cool fire, so you can't see it with an infrared camera. And the idea is I can come up with these ad hoc arguments ad infinitum until I've reached an infinite number of conditions, and then I'm forced to make a decision between the dragon floats, the dragon's invisible, the dragon's fiery breath emanates no heat, etc., or the dragon doesn't exist. Which harkens back to Occam's razor, which is a heuristic guideline that suggests that between competing hypotheses, the one that makes the fewest assumptions is the one that should be tested. Which is why disprovability is a condition for a good hypothesis in the scientific method, which is a feature of the scientific method that's taught to us in middle school. Which is why any just system of justice requires the assumption of innocence before guilt and requires that the burden of proof is on the positive claim, which is that the person actually did the crime, or the proof of guilt rather than proof of innocence, because how do you prove you're not a witch? And by the way, folks, this is how you prove that you are a witch. Or as Neil deGrasse Tyson says, show me the alien.
Everyone has a camera and a video camera. Remember all those reports of people getting abducted and poking their gonads? Where's the video of that today?
And somehow we're the side that's anti-science? And this is all ignoring, of course, a mountain of other Philosophy 101 concepts, such as the principle of charity, an extension basically of Hamlin's razor, Hitchens' razor, good faith, and Taylor's rule of credibility. And here's my challenge to the left, issued right here and now. Put down your phones, turn off Google. I just listed 5 concepts. Tell me in plain English what you think those concepts are. And this, of course, all coming from the party of science and tolerance. All right, so you've heard from me and you've heard from them. Now let's see what you guys had to say. Honestly, you guys need to step up your commenting game because there's a whole bunch of weak sauce this week, but there was at least one comment that was worthy of making it to the YouTubes. If only folks that supported him could be punished. Am I right? I get it, and I love it, because we know what social ostracization of dissent looks like under communism. It's called principles, folks. Taking somebody at their word and taking their word to its logical end. Correction, last minute comment coming in. Not funny, mostly straw man, never original, economically illiterate, motivated by butthurt, a leftist meme. Damn, dude. Guess I don't have to do another show again. All right, so I don't want this bit to turn into just endless dunking on cake. Plus, it kind of feels like cheating to take that easier route. But I'll be taking your suggestions in the comments section below and on the Liberty Blocks Facebook page and my personal Facebook page. Links are in the description below. We'll have next week's dumb meme posted on the Liberty Blocks Facebook page Monday night, so you guys can comment on that. Best comments will make the show, and we'll see you next Wednesday night.